So that's sort of a very quick summary of where we are right now in terms of dog racing. And the hope is still eventually that there will be enough pressure to, frankly, utilize the real estate where these tracks exist to shut down the tracks and move on to other uses of that property. But meanwhile, we have dogs that were once worshipped and revered, who are now used strictly as a commodity to further the gambling interests, because that's really what it is all about. It's certainly nothing about the dogs, and in fact, most people who go to the tracks don't even bother to sit in the stands. They're just, hanging out inside, watching up on the monitors to see what happens, to go collect their money or place their next bet or whatever. So that's a little bit about the status of the dog racing industry right now. Questions from you guys? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Sue Mayer Jack, and I have Mario.
Hi, Sue.
But he's not, actually he ate some hamburger out of my fingers after I talked to him today. But just could, he's like 2 inches away from the collar, all excited. Just couldn't give any suggestions?
I'd like to take that question for the off, if we can, off to the side, just because I want to kind of focus on where we stand with dogs and dog racing. But I can tell you all that in terms of behavior and what these dogs have to learn once they come off the dog track can present challenges. And Sue has adopted a dog who had a fairly long career as a racer. And so he's got just that much more history behind him that he has to overcome. And what I still continue to be amazed at how quickly these dogs adapt into a home environment when you consider they have led a very regimented life where essentially they're in crates 20 hours a day. And they're turned out 4 times a day to stretch their legs, to go to the bathroom, and then they go back into their cage. They typically race them twice a week. So you have a dog who has lived that kind of life for 6 months to 4 years, roughly, something like that, because they start them on a commercial track at 18 months of age. And that dog has to learn a whole new world. And some of them adapt very quickly and are social, confident, happy to meet everybody, looking to get to know all that the world has to offer. And then you have dogs sort of at the other extreme who are rather shy or extremely shy, painfully shy. Cindy here, although she loves playing with other dogs, and especially greyhounds, of course, when we brought her to our house, we couldn't even get eye contact from her for about 2 weeks. And she still spooks very, very easily at things. So it's not surprising. And so when we have adopters who have difficulties, we do our best to try to help them, help their dogs get through those difficulties. But it can take time sometimes. And it seriously can take years for them to still blossom and develop and to make discoveries about life. And it's very rewarding when you see that happen. Yeah?
I'll add that my first dog, Miles, I still have him, of course, was 5 when I adopted him. And he was terrified of hardwood floors. He jumped from rug to rug and didn't know about sliding glass doors. Everything was terrifying for him. It took more than a year for him to really settle in and comfortably in our home and be happy to be home and play. I understand that they're punished for playing as part of their race training. So he started playing tentatively with a toy, but in another room. I could hear him playing, and as soon as I'd come in, he'd tuck his tail, drop the toy, and retreat, because he thought he was being bad. So it's taken him a good year and a half, going on 2 years, for him to come out of the kind of orientation they put these dogs through in order to be racing commodities. It takes a long time, and I think what helped was getting a second one. He suddenly really blossomed since we got another one at the house.
So,
Mario's really settled in for everything else. The floors are okay. I showed him the sliding glass door twice. He doesn't run into it. He's everything. Maybe that's why I'm surprised at this, because everything else he is just been no housebreaking problems, nothing.
yeah.
Couldn't ask for a better.
Probably the most significant behavior problem that we do encounter with these dogs is separation anxiety. Often seen more in males than females, because the females tend to be a little more independent, the males a little more mama's boys or daddy's boys. But if you again think about what their life has been like, they've actually never been alone. Never been alone. They've been living with litter mates, other greyhounds, in the kennel environment. There are people coming and going. So just to be left alone can be a very frightening thing for some of these dogs. Others handle it absolutely fine. And I sometimes think that they relish total quiet, because they live typically in a very noisy environment most of the time. So separation anxiety can sometimes mean that dogs are returned to us and we need to rehome them, maybe with a family or people that are home more often, or with another dog perhaps. So that can be something that can take a while for people to get through, although it can subside, and we've certainly worked with adopters who have been successful in teaching their dogs to be alone. Other questions? Yeah.
I was noticing that several of these people here with their dogs have said there are other animals in the household. And maybe you just answered my question, but so if you bring in a greyhound, are they, like any other dog, you have to see if they're okay with other animals, or are they generally okay? And I guess that would help with the separation anxiety if you have other animals already there, the dogs.
Yeah, it can help. It's, you know, you never know. Sometimes another dog will help, sometimes not. But I think, let's see, how many of us here have cats at home? How many of us have birds at home? I said, any other animals?
Small dogs.
Small dogs, yeah.
And if they're okay with the other animals generally, I mean, they have to adjust also?
Well, we cat test them at rescue. So we do our best to assess whether or not they show any kind of serious prey drive. And again, if you think about what these dogs have been bred for,